everybody. Welcome to this week's Ergo AMA. Today, it's myself, and Alex is joining by audio.
Hello, everyone. My pleasure to be here.
I believe we're actually being broadcast onto Twitter, and Andy, who's kind of helps us out with the back end, wanted me to give everybody on Twitter a shout out and tell them that if they drop questions on Twitter, we might be able to get some people from the community to cross-post them to YouTube, so then we can see it and get some kind of telephone game AMA across multiple channels, which is pretty cool. It's been a good week in the Ergo ecosystem. We had the developer update yesterday. Rosen dropped kind of their teaser UI. I know that the ErgoPad side of the ecosystem has been pretty busy this week with duck pools and the Spectrum IDO, which a lot of people have been kind of talking about following. A lot of good stuff's happening in the ecosystem. How's your week going, Alex?
It's going busy. So, got my nodes bootstrapped with Nipopos and Utexo set snapshot. With current parameters, it's less than 20 minutes on my laptop. But production parameters would be more conservative. So don't know about numbers yet. Maybe we will get them by the next week. It's working. So still a lot of work to get it into production. So I will do EAPs also a lot of polishing, edge case fixes, anti-spam protection, and so on. So it's working at least, right, in some rule form.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
In few weeks, I will be rolled out. Released. I'm also assembling 507 node release, which is going to be a huge, about 5,000 lines of code touched. And the main feature is additional indexes, optional additional indexes, which allow for kind of Explorer like API. More limited, but enough for many applications actually. So then for many applications it will be possible to avoid dependency on heavyweight Explorer instances, especially. The centralized one, which is by Ergo Foundation. There are a couple of other ones, but still it's very heavy to run it. More lightweight, but still useful for applications solution to make the whole ecosystem more decentralized. Published also Know Your Assumption, kind of positional paper on the forum. This is a document on assumptions behind Bitcoin. So very informed one Bitcoin investor should accept, right, in order to expect from Bitcoin what is usually expected, right? And also did the same for Ergo, considering also different bootstrapping regimes supported by the protocol. So we'll add then assumptions for some applications such as oracles, DEX, and so on. Right, and in future also hopefully for some layer 2 solution side chains and so on. Right.
Yeah.
Also a lot of things going on around, right? So, have you said about Sigma Phi launch?
No, I haven't. Didn't get into that yet.
Oh yeah, so then a lot of things going on, and Ergo Hack is approaching, and I know already some teams are preparing for the Ergo hacks, thinking about projects and so on.
So what are you thinking for Ergo Hack? I know for a while you were playing around with the idea of joining as a non-participating.
Actually, that was a dream for previous Ergo hacks, but this time hopefully it's doable. So still we are discussing a few ideas with Hamidab. Maybe adding some intensivization protocol to the mixing protocol. Right, so maybe some layer 2 solution side chains. Let's see. So by the next AMA, it will be definitely set.
Awesome.
For now there are still like 3 or 4 options, and I mentioned 2 of them. Something like that. All right, so and in the ecosystem, a lot of things going on, right? Like Sigma Phi. So you can tell more about it,
Sure.
maybe.
Sure. So we're moving into the, I guess, Year of the Rabbit, right? The Spring Festival just ended in China, so things are getting a little bit busier on my side. And we have DeFi that's coming out across the ecosystem, whether it's peer-to-peer type DeFi or more pooling type DeFi, where actors, act in kind of groups with pools to create collateralized lending. We also have Excel, which has been working on their kind of charitable or non-collateralized lending protocol, and they're kind of foundational in terms of bootstrapping the potential user liquidity via loans. I would say that as soon as we get more assets into the ecosystem, that type of lending, borrowing will get a lot more interesting. I think this year, with Rosen especially, we're kind of moving from, let's say our own little ecosystem to having a lot more liquidity from other places coming in. So it's exciting to see. Let's see. Let's get into some questions. What do you think?
All right, let's go for it.
All right. So we have a question here from Amoeba, and he said, would it be possible to build a Plutus to Ergo script translator and vice versa? It's an interesting question. I do know that potentially on Cardano anyway, it's built modular enough that they should probably just run Sigma.
I guess Plutus to Ergo 3, so should be possible. I don't know all the Plutus details, to be honest, but theoretically, so should be possible to compile it down to the Ergo 3.
Yep. All right. Let's see. We have Kyle Cox. Has there been a date set on Spectrum Farming? I have no idea. You can always go into their channels and buy their Gaza. You might hear soon. Let's see. I'm not 100% sure, what their time frame looks like. They operate totally independently from us. Let's see. All right, Alex, I've got a question from you from Sigmanaut. He said, what are your realistic scenarios that lead to mass adoption of Ergo? Are you pleased with the development of the ecosystem and user growth, etc.?
Not quite as always. I mean, it's always desirable, right, to see quicker growth, but still it's quite good, right? And what's the best thing is to have time on your side, right? And it seems to be the case. For mass adoption, I think already a lot of useful tools, right? We have for example, with Kenyan folks, we are discussing using multi-sig wallets, right? To have joint control the funds in the cooperative, they can provide loans within the cooperative. Hopefully, that's what we are discussing. So then, after initial loans, right, made through Xler. Right. For example, the community may have own fund, right?
Mm-hmm.
More and more tools appearing, right? Each one is targeting some group. I'm waiting for idea, my personally, right? Now we have lending solutions. Cross-chain, then Paideia and so on, and then we can digitalize finance, right, for 90% basically of people globally do not have access, basically. And also to rework digitalized economies.
Yeah, I think that we have a lot of nice tools in place that are foundational, and as that grows, the overall usefulness and net potential of the ecosystem grows. It's hard to define crypto in a way. Like, some people look at like mass adoption in terms of like NFTs, or some people look at, crypto ecosystems as some type of like equivalent to like a market index with multiple different like companies or assets. I think it's good to approach it as like from the core principle that Ergo is money. And then we build kind of the base economic frameworks and tools to make that money efficient and usable.
Right. That's basically kind of repeating, right, the history of money, but now, on steroids, basically. I read recently some things, and always reading about history of money, origins, different theories, and so on. And it seems in crypto, sometimes we are replicating
Oh, yeah.
Right, the things from history, but instead of centuries, well, it takes like 1 year or two.
Yeah. It's a fascinating question, even long term. Like you could look at on one hand, let's say in terms of our general industry leaders, on one hand you have Bitcoin and they're saying, okay, well, let's try to make some kind of layer 2 payment system, Lightning, which has I guess some trade-offs and the assumptions people need to make. And then you have something like Ethereum, where if you look at the net volume of like USDT or stable coins, I would say it's probably vastly outperformed Bitcoin in terms of like some payment network, right? In terms of like Lightning type infrastructure. So what do you see the future like there, Alex? I'm going to ask
in regards with Lightning and so on?
Yeah, in regards with Lightning and so on top of Ergo.
Well, in regards with Lightning, recently I found statistics that more Bitcoins actually locked in Avalanche breach, some Avalanche breach than in Lightning Network. Right, so Lightning still seems not to be popular, right? Maybe because it's complex, right? And actually in early days, some users lost money because of bugs, right? And clients not been fully finished. Right, and in general, it's quite complex set of networking protocols, and there are some limits and so on. So hard to say that something like Lightning would be popular for Ergo. Well, in next few years, let's say, right? Probably not, even for Bitcoin. It seems not to be the case. But in regards with off-chain, I think, off-chain applications for Ergo would be useful. For example, for games, right, like Grand Gambit, to improve responsiveness, right, and maybe for community monetary systems, right, to reduce or eliminate the fees to be paid in ERCs. And so on. So but then those layer 2 solutions would be application specific, right? So for games, things like Hydra probably would work well. Not sure about open systems. Systems with open set of participants. Probably for them, for open systems, some different solutions would be more efficient and so on. So it's quite complex topic after all. But I think we will see some layer 2 solutions. But probably not where we do expect, right, watching our Bitcoin.
All right. Next question is from Augustus Kent. He said, is it even possible to do a decentralized on-off ramp? Surely it always involves trust, swapping fiat for crypto. Do you think there's such a thing as a trustless escrow service that could be created?
So trust could be reduced, right? Even some Bitcoin on ramp solutions are doing that. For example, HODL. So they're using some multi-sig scheme involving escrow. And then, it could be improved, right? So instead of a single escrow, we may have a lot of possible validators, right? And so on. So, if trust couldn't be fully eliminated, it could be reduced, right, to some minimum.
Yeah, and hopefully, if you can create more of a environment of reduced trust, you can make multiple environments of reduced trust, and then kind of move back towards a more distributed or decentralized model rather than just having one. But let's see. That I would say that's one of the biggest bottlenecks in our industry, to be honest, in terms of like actually making it more usable as some type of foreign currency. You know what I mean?
Right. So, if we are talking that Bitcoin and Ergo is digital gold, right, then there should be some infrastructure, mostly off-chain, but maybe with trust reduced via on-chain tools, right, around this digital gold. Right.
Yep. All right, next question from Casual Dead. Says the Ergo Foundation's treasury is down to 900,000 ERG. What will happen to the foundation once that reaches zero? It's a good question. I can say for me anyway, at some point I'll probably, move and do something in parallel. That's kind of my own contribution. That's, maybe has a different profit incentive, so is more useful. What about you, Alex?
It will eventually approach zero, definitely. Then, there are a few things which Ergo Foundation members can do, right? Like raising donations and so on. But maybe, Ergo Foundation could be just reworked right into different groups, which is also happening with Sigma nodes and so on. Right. So, time will show, but definitely, the treasury shouldn't exist forever, right? Because that's basically endless power grab, right? With all those talks about decentralization, become meaningless, right? All those things happening. Also like clown shows, right? And so on. So there are many examples around, right? With those treasuries and even emission being changed, right, to prolong treasury lifetime and so on. So definitely we will not do that. We will not push miners, right, to change the protocol to grab the power for more time.
No, I've already actually been looking into the potential of spinning up Ergo-specific DAO in El Salvador that could potentially some of the let's say legality of listing and other things for projects in the ecosystem. So for me, I'll be around. I'll probably rotate and do something that I don't know. I think I'll find it more interesting. My goal is to try to push for market access and kind of the initial development of the ecosystem. We did release the kind of spending report this year. And, I would say by the time, that gets closer to zero, I would definitely like to see us established in U.S. markets and kind of have a stronger foundation in terms of the market access, and that's kind of my goal, right? My position once I've done that, it's better for me to not probably touch the treasury and leave that to whatever is left to be finished before we approach that zero date.
Right. So, there are many options. So, I also proposed some time ago to Ergo Foundation members to think about maybe something like Ergo Association, right? So, association of big ecosystem players. So maybe not big, right? But able to contribute. This entity can decide how to develop a protocol, right, and maybe maintain infrastructure and do some marketing and so on. So there are a lot of options here, right? So association kind of entity, what was done in ETC community is a few collectives, right, with different fundings. So ETC collective it was, and some other competing entities, entity, or maybe not one even. So a lot of possible options here, actually.
Yeah, I think to move towards an association or distribution of power between entities around the core protocol is probably a much better solution longer term than just having one foundation. So I'm kind of looking forward to see how the system self-organizes around that.
Yep. So yeah. After all, I don't see anything to be worried about here, to be honest.
All right. Let's see. Hey, Ergo heads, can you explain to me how Ergo will make a change in a normal person's life? Well, I think ultimately the goal is to, build a parallel or kind of counter economic system that has the ability to transcend borders and offer open access to people around the world. In order for that to be successful, I think one of the major things we probably need to see is GPU proof of work kind of completing its cleansing process post Ethereum. The profitability in GPU mining has been absolute shit, but that's what happens when 95% of the workforce gets fired and they all have their tools and they start competing against each other to kind of, let's say, compete for the lowest wage, right? And so we've kind of been going through this consolidation cycle that's been really painful. But if we rewind a year or two or three, and you look at the just economic benefit of GPU proof of work when it's profitable and when that market is balanced, which right now it's not, you do have the potential for normal people around the world to hook up some, average computational equipment and, essentially contribute in this kind of crazy electronic economy to where they're kind of printing coins via hardware, right? And there are places in the world where even if the profitability of proof of work is quite mild, that can, stretch in a person's budget and cost of living quite a lot. So to me, I think that's the first place to start is, the benefits of proof of work and how that can benefit normal people around the world. But right now that is out of balance. There's no other way to put it. I guess market of proof of work, was kind of built way too centralized around Ethereum and hasn't really consolidated and reformed and grown yet. But we'll get there. What's your take, Alex?
So proof of work economy, right, is a kind of decentralized mining economy, pretty much like gold mining, right? So for gold mining, actually, we have millions of people around the globe, right, mining the gold, individually or within small cooperatives, in big companies, right, state-owned companies and so on, right? So yeah, it's more or less similar here, right?
I think
so we have players of all the sizes, right, in the mining field.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about that in comparison to like gold is that, being that electricity is the net asset, that market is constantly shifting and restructuring in terms of, the costs and opportunity, right? Return on energy invested, so to speak, based on the input costs versus gold. It's kind of formed in the stars a long time ago, landed where it landed. And so it's within some countries' borders and then others not so much, right? Versus, when you're talking about electricity, you're talking about, markets and innovation and kind of resource allocation and investment. It's much more interesting because human evolution plays a greater part, right, in that market availability.
Right, but then, for example, you mine your digital gold, right, Ergs, and then you can put it into collateral, right, and borrow some different tests, right, for example, like USD, right, algorithmic like CQSD, or maybe in future some centralized one, even like USDA, right, USDT, and so on. Then so it's kind of kind of real be your own bank, right? Kind of stuff. So, unstoppable money, right, and unstoppable financial tools. So to borrow, you don't need to visit a bank, right? To have credit score, right, which is probably not available to many people, right, around the globe. So then you can just without any limits, right, except of ones set by your counterparties, participate in economic activity, right? So to borrow, right, to buy, even if we are talking about digital goods, right, like NFTs. So still it's kind of unstoppable activity, and also no intermediary needed, right, no any hassle. So it's basically in case of Ergo auctions, for example, just you, right, if you are buying and the seller, and so on, so on.
All right, let's get to the next question. This is from CW. He said, looking into the future, what are some unique use cases for zero knowledge proofs that could benefit not only Ergo, but the industry as a whole? I'm going to take a counter approach. I know it's not a question, but you have, let's say, extremely complex mathematics, and then you also have the question of like the implementation of the zero knowledge proofs. So I would say within the next 10 years, one of the biggest failures we'll see in the industry will probably be either zero knowledge proofs that's assumptions don't hold water or that's implemented incorrectly. And I think that'll probably be like the next round of bridge burning like we saw this last cycle. My personal opinion. That's unpopular. I know there's a lot of great marketing out there around zero knowledge proofs, but it's pretty green field, right? What's your take, Alex?
Yeah. So, what's the question? Sorry.
What could be some unique use cases of zero knowledge proofs? Just in the industry.
Oh, right. So, privacy, right? And yeah. So, often zero knowledge is used. But to say plans to be used as kind of mechanism for verifiable computations, right? So, how to do some small amounts of work, right, to verify that some big amounts of computational work was done, actually. Right, so this is about so-called snarks, starks, and so on. Then, applications on top of them, such as zero knowledge rollups and so on. There are also a lot of new problems, such as theoretical issues. Right, because this is still a very new kind of cryptography. Then, implementation. So, first of all, parameterization, right? So, when you have some theoretical construction, you need to find real-world parameters for it. Not all of them are secure. Right, then you have implementations, a lot of issues here, and so on. In many cases, zero knowledge protocols do have a trusted setup in some form. Right, so they are based on some common string, and there is need to generate it. Then there are some ceremonies for this trusted setup, like what was done in Zcash, but still, a lot of tricky questions here. All right, so in Ergo, we use Sigma protocols, right? So also kind of zero knowledge, but trustless and efficient. It's not universal at the same time. So, applications are quite limited. Then, there are actually Sigma protocol based universal zero knowledge solutions like bulletproofs, but they are not very efficient anyway, despite they are generic for complex scenarios, and so on. So usually it's still in short about privacy and verifiable computation, right? So to reduce computational work done on chain.
Yeah, it's a fascinating field, right? My personal opinion is one that's probably more conservative, where I expect there's going to be some pain growing pains with zero knowledge proofs that everybody's excited about, but there's a ton of complexity there, and yeah, it's kind of theoretically new and hasn't really stood the test of time, kind of on a high level. And then there's the question of the implementation, which is pretty complex too. So we're gonna have to wait and see. I don't know. Let's see. Question from Andre. He says, I believe Ergo adoption will grow rapidly, but how will Ergo become faster and more efficient network for transactions? I think that organic growth is kind of good. We had, let's say, rapid ecosystem growth in like 2021. And, we didn't have the tooling, the kind of different economies, dApps, wallets that we have now. So it takes time to build that basic infrastructure. And as that continues to improve, it will support a better user experience, in terms of faster, network settlement, I don't know. I think that Ergo will probably always be on the conservative side in terms of block time, but we can certainly do more in terms of, layer 2 and throughput. And, we're looking at potential upgrades in 6.0. You want to take that question, Alex?
Yeah, so, security is priority, right? And actually, know your assumptions article probably, shows that we tried to be pretty conservative and secure, right? Mm-hmm. So not adding anything new to Bitcoin's assumptions. Right, and in regards with block time, 2 minutes was chosen because it's kind of conservative, secure parameter value, right? So 1 minute maybe okay also, but it's more or less the same, right? So with 1 minute, so the same question would be asked. So I believe in many scenarios it doesn't matter, right? Whether it's about 2 minutes, even 10, like in Bitcoin, right? Mm. And when it does really matter, you need to build layer 2 protocols. Maybe, right? But then, it's about different security model, right? So different assumptions, and it was possible, right, to make block time like 15 seconds, like in Ethereum, right? Proof of work Ethereum. It's about increased number of orphan blocks, right? And a lot of tricky security questions in regards with validation, right? So during denial of service attacks on Ethereum back in 2016, for example, there were issues with the network when blocks were generated faster than validated by most of the nodes in the network. Right, so it's not very good, right, to have blocks coming quickly, from security point of view. So So security was top priority.
Well,
After all, right.
Top priority.
And so if you want to have fast transactions, then you need to understand that there is no free lunch here, right? So whether you have some different security assumptions, right? Or maybe you are just using a network with insecure parameters.
That's always the difficulty we get into in the crypto is, everybody markets free lunch without any security trade-offs or changes in assumptions. But is what it is. Things have a cost. Let's see. Question from Augustus Kent. He said, the way I see it, the problem is most trusted entities tend to be the biggest players. With the existing reputation, it's hard for new, smaller players to gain trust. Yeah, that's kind of the case in most things. Network effect can be hard to contend with. You could look at it across our ecosystem. Let's say the industry, you can look at large exchanges. Even though there may be some highly questionable practices, you could look at large media outlets, even though there's, highly questionable quality of content. Nonetheless, they have kind of a network effect. And so anybody new has to contend with that. It is what it is. What's your take, Alex?
Oh, pretty much the same. So.
Yeah.
That's the well-known thing, right?
All right, next question from Sigmanaut. I think you guys talked once about a goodwill fund or something like that, which could help in development. Is that still a thing? Yeah, we still do have a couple of whales in our ecosystem that periodically will take grants or fund different aspects of development.
Yeah, and Dark Fund Zero still has some money. So if you have some privacy related grant proposal, please submit it. To me, for example, or Filippo Units or MX. And for Good Whale funds, I believe it's also still there.
All right. CW is asking, what is something interesting you have seen being developed on other ecosystems? You want to go first, Alex? Outside of Ergo, what's something you see interesting?
Right now?
Yeah, just, in crypto, I guess, outside of Ergo.
Oh, I don't know. So, unfortunately, these days, I don't have
much bandwidth,
much time to check. Yeah, so I'm checking sometimes what's going on with Lightning Network and this RGB set of protocols. So all this off-chain building around Bitcoin. Also, I'm checking zero knowledge news. I'm a member of some researcher groups, so reading some news stuff briefly. Usually it's about zero knowledge based rollups for Ethereum. Outside all these two topics, not so much, and actually, maybe I don't know something, but also, also tracking for sure some developments in Cardano, right? Because similarities. Extended index, so on, Hydra, and so on, right? And also checking other UTX cryptocurrencies, but not so much development there, it seems. So I'm talking mostly about UTX Alliance members. But yeah, aside of that, I don't even know, to be honest, what's kind of revolutionary, right? So, well, breaking could be around, honestly. Yeah, I don't see anything at the moment. And those developments I'm checking. So they also are mostly evolutionary, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so still they are very much needed, right? So finally, to deliver, you need to do a lot of not so groundbreaking work, right? On top of initial breakthroughs, but currently, I don't know. So would be happy to see something totally innovative.
Yeah, I would say on my end, like what's some interesting stuff that I've seen developed in other ecosystems. Probably, there's some interesting like middleware DeFi solutions that allow for, kind of unique lending and leverage that's coming out in Ethereum. That's kind of a more developed market in terms of DeFi and assets, and so it's kind of interesting to watch how some things develop in terms of creating more efficiency for the user in terms of how they can build liquidity and use it. But it's kind of more like a middleware type thing than DApp itself. But yeah, there's a lot of things that are kind of replicating the same thing across different ecosystems. It's this ecosystem's Uniswap or this ecosystem's X, and there's some minor modifications, but it does tend to be the same thing. So let's see what's new and innovative, and then actually holds the test of time. We saw a lot of things last cycle that were sold as new and innovative, and they didn't last very long.
So we are waiting, right, for breakthroughs. But a lot of things happening, right?
Yeah.
So I'm checking just some of them.
Let's see. Bison Buffalo said, "What is a key unique feature of Ergo that other ecosystems can't copy?" Well, I mean, it's all open source code, but it's kind of a unique question in a way. Copy. Ergo has a unique set of assumptions, being proof of work, supporting Sigma protocols. A lot of the things we kind of covered earlier, I would say, create its own unique flavor.
So everything could be copied, right? That's still I don't see copycats actually. So for Sigma protocols and so on, and no any fork of Ergo even. I don't know. So for next year there were like 40 probably different forks, right? So I don't know why still there are no Ergo forks around. So currently, Sigma protocols, right? Truly unique. So, then applications on top of them also. Also, I'm not sure. For example, a Sigma Phi, right? So, bonds are done in a peer-to-peer way. So, any alternatives for Ethereum? I'm not sure. Because usually on top of Ethereum, you have some pooled solution, right? Like Uniswap, so liquidity pool instead of DEX. And pooled lending, right? Because usually, with accounts model, doing order book based DEX, right, is very inefficient, and the same probably for bonds, right, in the individual bonds. Then you have things like Uniswap, right? I forgotten pooled lending primer for Ethereum. Usually, it's not feasible to build self-sovereign peer-to-peer finance on top of Ethereum, for example.
All right, next question says, hello guys, do you participate in some of the IDOs on ErgoPad yourself? Greetings from Germany. I'll answer that from my end. Especially once we have Paideia, when we have more transparent tools, I'm going to take a more active role to try to help everybody, just because, transparencies would be good there. I do talk to Marty and the ErgoPad team, regularly, try to help them out with whatever they need. Right now I kind of am in a weird position where I try to be neutral and just promote the, right development principles, particularly, open source, verifiable software that create, hopefully trustless assumptions. And I do think that in the future I could see myself being more active, but it's important that you have tools there to constrain power, right? And once we have Paideia, it will be really interesting, because then we can move towards more efficient community management of projects, across multiple spheres of, project development, marketing, market access, all that good stuff. And I would love to help. What's your take, Alex?
So I'm not participating, to be honest, but I don't know. So there are no any principles here, so I'm just missing all the ideas.
I know how that goes.
That's it. Yeah, so I'm busy with other things.
Hard to stay up to date. Well, I think that's probably good for questions. Anything you'd like to cover or close with, Alex, before we close the AMA for this week?
Let me think. I guess I'm set. So I thought about saying something, but I've forgotten what exactly. So I'm set probably for now.
Yeah, I'll probably get poked if I don't plug Ergo Hack, everybody. We have marketing materials that, point to the website, the prizes, the, registration stuff. If you have any good ideas or are looking for a team, hop onto various channels and just start pinging people. Make things happen. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. It's a pleasure, as always, to take questions. I answer. I hope everybody learned a little bit. And if we didn't get to you, hopefully come back and drop your question, and we'll get to you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.